What is up, YouTube? Cali Myth here, and the day has finally come. The return of the Cross Thoughts podcast. 2 long years in the making, but it finally happened, and I cannot be happier with it. In this episode, for the first one back, me and my new co-host, Travis Hitz, good friend of mine, honestly, probably my best friend. You've seen him on the channel, playing Stardew with me. We have a great conversation in here. We talk about his first ever concert experience, our future plans for shows, and we talk about motorcycles and cars for a little bit. So it was a fun hour to enjoy. If you guys want to have a great conversation between two friends, this is it for you. But I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys want to know the game plan going forward, once a month. Right now, we're going to shoot for once a month. So this is the episode for August. We will have one coming out in September as well. And hopefully October, go on and so forth. Plan is to up the quantity eventually and do twice a month. But just getting into the swing of things, trying to get comfortable doing this again. So, hope you guys enjoy it. So do me a favor before you get into this long hour. Hit the sub button, ring the bell to stay notified. Go follow all of our socials. All that stuff is in the description. Stay up to date on when these come out. And I hope to see you guys here. Honestly, the real goal at the end of the day is we want to do these live so we can have people in chat, so we can bullshit with them as well and make this like a whole community thing. Because at the end of the day, this is your podcast. We just host it. We have a lot of fun doing it, and I cannot wait for the future. I love all of you. I'll see you guys in the next one. We're recording. We're recording. It took a minute for me to start this, but hello. Welcome to the Cross Thoughts podcast, the reimagined, the redone,
remastered.
The remastered.
I am the new master.
The sequel trilogy. That's always going to be worse than the original.
It's podcast 2 Electric Boogaloo.
We're just having a good time over here.
Having a good time.
It is me.
Having a good time.
The one and only original host, the Cross Thoughts podcast, with a new co-host. And my good friend Travis, and all of his socials are right up here, above mine.
This one.
Yeah, that way. Same way you're. Same way. So, yep. You're doing good. They're right over there. He is in space. I'm in the void because of my depression. He is in space because he's about to get married and he has all the euphoria in the world. He's having a great time with his life.
Great is a strong word.
All right, here we are. We're back. Took a while. I looked before we started the podcast. 2.5 years. Roughly.
2.5 years.
2 years? Yeah, 2 years ago. And good times, good days. Yeah. I guess co-host change.
Not in between.
The
in-between part was a little rough.
We had a little bit of an in-between gap. There's a reason why it took so long for me to come back, but it's good. Just know, there's nothing between me and the old co-host. Everything's fine. He's living his life. I'm living mine. Everything's good between me and him. He's streaming over on Twitch. So if you want to go check out what he's doing, it is Microsoft96 over on Twitch. Go give him a follow. Do all the nonsense you like to do over there. Give him some support if you want to know where he went. But this is the new team. This is how we're doing this. We're going to start it off.
Dream team. Top tier.
Stream team? Is that what we're calling ourselves? The stream?
That'd be I said dream, but we can go to stream team.
No.
I mean, it fits.
Dream team. I don't think this isn't a dream team. This is not a dream team, I promise. We are two below average white males.
Hold on. Time out. I'm average. You're also not white. So, there's a thing going on.
All right. Listen, if you're looking at the camera and you're telling me and you try to tell someone that I'm not, you're wrong. Because here's the thing. I am Asian, but you can't tell.
Do you need me to come down there and kick your ass?
Why are you talking to me like we're in the same room?
Because
you're literally the worst.
Camera.
You're literally the fucking worst. I have so many like jitters right now. I'm having an issue looking at the camera because I'm nervous. I haven't done this for a while.
You're nervous.
I'm nervous. It's fine. But it's okay. We're going to have a lot of fun. And if you keep seeing me look that way, I'm looking at Discord, making sure nothing is exploding. Because...
Well, I can't see you look anyway.
Not Discord, but if people watching, I'm looking at OBS where I'm recording this on. And I'm just making sure nothing explodes over there. So if you see me periodically look over there a lot, it's because I'm just making sure nothing's exploding. Because before, I didn't do video. We just chilled in his basement with 2 microphones, same room. Now we're doing the social distancing thing because I think even before that, COVID wasn't a thing.
Nope. Wasn't.
So now we're doing the social distancing thing. Even though me and him really don't care, it's a pain in the ass to get together because adulting sucks.
You're telling me.
Like 2 years ago, it wasn't that bad. Now, it's fucking awful.
Everything sucks.
Everything fucking sucks. But
terrible. Can't get away from it. Can't make it better.
Here we go. So I got a little topic I wanted to talk to you about today. You know about it. Kind of briefed you on it.
A little bit.
You went to your first heavier rock show with me not too long ago, and you're about to go to even a heavier one with me next month.
Yep.
So, what do you think? How do you like my people? Do you like my people?
Your people.
My people.
Let me just throw out here that not only was that my first metal show, it was my first real concert. Because when I was younger, I did the whole church camp thing and all that whatever, and convention is a big thing from where we are. So we all get together, a crap ton of churches from the area. They all get together at one big arena and they do a big sermon, and they have live music play and all that stuff. So it's technically kind of a concert, but it's really just one band that just plays not necessarily gospel music, but it's they're more Christian rock kind of thing.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so I've been to those, but that's the real first real concert that I've been to.
I think my first ever concert experience that I vividly remember was I was maybe 6. I don't even know how old I was. But I was at I was at a Chargers game living back in California, and randomly, I guess POD was the halftime show. So they came on and played a few songs, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm young. I want to watch people hit each other.
See people clash.
But as you know, I am a concert goer. It's my life. It's all I do. And next month, you're going to go to one of the heaviest shows you're going to ever go to. You're going to probably experience your first ever mosh pit, and you're going to most likely come out with a few bruises, maybe a few cuts. But you're going to have a time of your life.
As long as I come home in at least one piece, I'm fair.
Listen, if you're missing a finger, maybe a toe, I think that's a good sacrifice for the good time you're about to have.
Look, man, if that happens, I would prefer it to be at work so that I don't have to go back. I've had a whole conversation with coworkers about what would be the best body part to lose to collect disability, and it's fingers and toes, 100%.
I mean, wouldn't you lose your balance if you lost your pinky toes?
I don't know, because there's that whole thing about your big toe and your pinky toe are your balancing things on your feet, your balancing points, I guess. But I feel if you lost one of them, your other ones would accommodate. You know what I mean?
I mean, probably weird to walk for a while for sure.
Oh yeah, but losing anything would cause some issues. Some sort of learning curve. But anyways, back to the concert thing. We keep getting distracted.
Well, that's what's going to happen on this. This is why it's cross thoughts. Our thoughts are just going to cross, and we're just going to keep going fucking back and forth on shit. But the main topic that we talk about will always get brought back up until the very end. It's how it always was, you know?
Wheel this way, swing her back towards base. Go back to the concert thing. So, first real concert. It was exciting. I had a blast. I knew the majority of, I would say, one of the bands.
Well, let's just say the bands. It's not like it's gonna fucking hurt them if we announce who we saw.
I'm just going through my list. So what was it? The order in which it went was Bad Wolves was the opener. Then it was Hollywood Undead, then Falling in Reverse, and then Pop Roach. So Bad Wolves, I've only heard their cover of Zombie, which they didn't end up playing as their last last song in their set. So it was good to hear it live, even though it was with a different singer, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got rid of their original one. I think he does his own music now, to be honest with you.
But then Hollywood Undead, I listened to them a lot whenever, I think it was late middle school, early high school, was when they were like peak popularity. At least from my,
I mean, for our end,
experience with them.
probably that's their peak popularity, but like they have a whole new fan base now that I don't even know about.
Oh yeah, they're putting out a different style of music. They kind of adapted to be more, yeah, a little bit. I would say a little bit more poppy.
I've
Honestly,
two of their new songs they played at that show though, like they were definitely a lot heavier than they like. It was like giving me Undead vibes. That's how heavy they were. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's fucking crazy. I didn't expect that at all from this band.
yeah, they lost the masks though, so I'm a little upset, but it's fine.
Bro, it's 2022. That's like so long ago. I don't even know when they dropped them, but they dropped them a long time ago.
Well, yeah, I was going through the progression because, like, before, the only person who didn't have, like, a full face mask was Charlie Sheen, but he had the bandana and the sunglasses, so, like, you just didn't see his face anyways. But then they dropped to do, like, partial masks, because I know for a minute, who was it? I think it was Johnny?
I'm pretty sure they're
He
partial.
had one that, like, came down, basically split half of his face, and then like the side with the mask over it was like the teary eye, whatever. And then I think actually relatively recently they did have like masks that covered like nose to chin. At least one of them did. And then I guess they're just like done with the masks now.
I think they still wear them for their videos. I honestly don't know because I haven't seen them in so long, but I'm pretty sure they just don't do it live anymore because it's kind of an inconvenience.
It's an inconvenience. It's hot. It changes the sound.
Because when I was there when I saw them the first time, a few years, like high school, like right at the end of high school, 2016 time, it was Hollywood Undead, Crown the Empire, and I Prevail. When I Prevail was like brand new, they were still coming out. Like I didn't even know who the fuck they were, but they played Blank Space, and I've never seen a mosh pit for Taylor Swift in my life until that day. So that was a great day.
Yeah.
They wore their masks for like half the show, and then they didn't for the other half. So like it's very weird. I don't know when the transition was for them to really just stop wearing them completely.
Yeah. Who knows? But regardless, they did well. They sounded great because that was one of my biggest like concerns about going and seeing a live performance. Is most performers, I guess would be the way to put it. They don't normally sound the same on stage as they do on the radio. So that was like kind of a relief to get that experience and realize that not everybody has to use the auto tune or the key correction and anything like that. Especially when it comes to the scene for like say metalcore, whatever you want to call it, that genre. It is just mainly talent.
Like most of them sound pretty much exactly the same. Like the show I went to like immediately after, like 5 days after, the Undead Remember, Bad Omens, and what the fuck was it? Can't even remember what I can't remember what the second band was. But Bad Omens is a good example of them sounding a little different than they do recording, but they still sound really good because he just does it in a different way live. Same with Ronnie from Falling in Reverse. Like he does his songs a little differently live than he does in the recordings.
He'd had a lot of fan interaction, but again, we also did find out afterwards that he was kind of struggling through the show.
I could kind of tell something seemed off. He was interacting with the fans more this time than he was the last time I saw him. So I figured there was something going on. He's maybe resting his voice just a little bit for that night, but he ended up canceling the last show, the show immediately after ours, and then another one later in the tour. So it's been pretty rough for Ronnie, but hell, we at least got the song. We got to see him at least, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, moving on from Hollywood Undead, which I knew most of their set list, to Falling in Reverse. You know, I listened to them very slightly. Only like maybe 3 or 4 of their songs I knew, or his songs, I guess, I had listened to previously and knew.
I knew everyone because that's my genre of music I listen to. See, here's the thing. When me and Travis like met, I was in that space and he was in the country space. So over time now, we've kind of just like tried to merge the musics together. So I'm liking a little bit more country. He's liking a little bit more of the music I listen to. So it's kind of a cool interaction that we have there.
Yeah, but overall, Falling in Reverse sounded good. And then moving it down the set list, or the stage, we'll go to Papa Roach, which everybody knows who Papa Roach is, at least in some aspect, just because they've been around for however long at this point. And yeah, they do well. It was a really good performance. His fan interactions were incredible. Starting the wall of death just for shits and gigs.
Listen, it's just like I'm happy that was the one you went to first because it wasn't as crazy. Then again, I don't know what was really happening inside the crowd, like itself, because we stood back during the show just because we did have Travis's fiance with us, and I didn't think it would be a good like spot for us to stand if she was with us, just because she's more of an introverted person, so it's a little rough for her to get on into a crowd. So, but for the next one, we're going to see the Trinity of Terror Tour Part 2. I went to the first one, and just from the first one's reactions, you're about to see some crazy fucking shit, Trav. Like, it's going to be so much fun. I got pit seats for us, so General Admission will be standing right in front of the stage, so we'll be in the middle of the action. So just keep your mind open to the shit you may see, what you may get pulled into, and just enjoy yourself. That's all I can really say.
As long as I don't end up in jail, it's fine.
Listen, and be ready to meet new random people that you never met before, and make friends with them and never talk to them again, because that's what happens. At least for me, because I go to shows alone majority of the time.
I do that already. I have to make friends or interact, I guess, positively with people, considering I work in the healthcare industry.
I guess that's true as well, but I don't know, man. That show I went to afterwards, I think I told you a little bit about it. What I'm saying crazy is, fucking A Day to Remember. They're talking about, they're about to play a song, and they're just like, this is the heaviest song we're going to play for you tonight, and this is the song that we get the most crowd surfers for. So tonight, I want to see some crazy shit. I want to see someone standing on top of someone crowd surfing and actually surfing them. And then he like backed out and was like, what I told you was extremely dangerous, so don't do it. But if you do it, whatever. And I was just like, all right, I wonder if we're going to see it. Immediately, you just start seeing people lay on their stomachs and then someone climbing up on their backs. And I just saw like maybe 4 or 5 people surfing each other. It was fucking insane. Like, oh my fucking God. That was such a fun show. It was one of the songs was so nuts that we all basically became just a fucking blob of a unit. And any movement that was happening in the crowd, everybody was a part of it. It was just so gross. I was up in arms like this, just up against people like, hi, I don't know you. Hello, my name's Joe. How you doing? You having a good time? I'm having a good time.
Nice shoes.
Hey, that's how the night started. Okay, that guy was very nice. I forget his name already, so sorry. I know his last name, so, and I know his brother, because his brother was there too.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. You're now trying to learn songs for this show, so you're not completely oblivious to what the fuck's happening up on stage.
But yeah, I gotta figure out. I guess not figure out. I just have to listen to more of Black Veil Brides and We Came as Romans, and I think I'll be fairly comfortable.
So Black Veil Brides is a little different live than their studio recordings. This is one of those moments where I think the the band sounds better live than they do in their studio recordings, because I would say Black Veil Brides is more just like rock. They're not really metal in my eyes, like just from how they sound in their studio recordings. But when you see them live, he's actually screaming in the songs that he's not screaming in like the studio recordings. But then again, I haven't listened to all of his like newer stuff.
Yeah.
But they played a lot of their newer stuff that show. But like he would add screams. Andy has an amazing scream. He's like one of the best musicians out there in this industry. And I'm not a Black Veil Brides listener outside of going to see them live if they're with someone. And I was very impressed. So I think you'll enjoy them. I hope it's the exact same as the last show I went to. It went Black Veil Bride. It went the opener first. So we came first. They're going to go first no matter what. And then I hope it's Black Veil Brides, Ice Nine, Motionless, just because we are in Motionless's hometown of Scranton, PA. That's where we'll be for this show. So if you're there and you're watching this, come say hi.
Yeah.
Come say hi. Come find us. We'll be there. We'll be there. And I hope it's that exact show, because if they go on last, this is going to be a once in a lifetime show.
No, I'm sure they will go on last. Because it's their hometown. So they're going to have the, capability to run longer as much as they want.
Like
much as they feel comfortable, I guess.
It's gonna be it's gonna be a madhouse. It's gonna be fun. If I cry a little bit, don't judge me. I get very emotional with Emotionless in White just because I connect a lot with their songs. They are just an amazing band, amazing people, and one of their band members is from Ice Nine Kills originally. So like, I think that was my gap when I finally started liking Motionless, is when Justin Morrow left Ice Nine for Motionless.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Fair enough.
I get passionate about music. It's the one thing that keeps me going. Honestly.
Yeah, it was good to have a passion. So. Me, I just have too many.
You have a car. You have a bike. You have a truck. The camping lifestyle out of a truck. The car he has is fucking amazing. Right-hand drive, little Nissan Fairlady ZX.
300 ZX.
300 ZX. So
yeah,
I don't know cars. So there's the gap. He's trying to teach me. It's not going very well.
We're getting there. I think once you get a small project, I think it'll be a little bit easier to kind of retain, just because you're going to be sitting there looking at it every time you go to drive. So you'll be hands-on with something that you're going to be familiar with and doing all the work on.
Sorry, go ahead.
It just takes time to kind of learn and get things down. Like, I'm still learning as we go. With my build, just going through and figuring out the nuances of a car that I've never worked on before. I actually didn't even know that this car existed before I found it for sale on Facebook Marketplace. So like, you can kind of take your basic maintenance skills and then kind of build on top of those once you actually get like down to a project.
I mean, how much different is it being imported than it would have been if you found one from here?
So it's not super different. It's just like the labeling is really the only issue. So like labeling of wires and layouts and things like that, because it's going to be labeled in Japanese in this case rather than in English. So like, just for example, the radio harness, I had to sit and kind of fumble my way through to figure out which cords went to which speakers, which was the power or the ground and everything like that. I actually had to use Google Translate because there were 3 tags on the harness that were in Japanese on 3 of the wires. So I used Google Translate and was like fumbling around with the wire and the phone, trying to get it to like read properly to figure out what needed to get connected there. But luckily I did get through it. But apart from that, all your connectors are going to be the same. All of your parts are going to be the same. The only difference is like angles. So since mine is right-hand drive instead of left-hand drive, I can't get parts for a left-hand drive car. They have to be specifically for a right-hand drive car. because the shape of it is going to be different because it's angled a different way. But apart from that, like everything is going to be run the same, fuel, battery lines, engine wise, it's the same engine. It's just the little nameplates and tags on them are in a different language.
So makes sense. I mean, yeah, I don't know a damn thing about it. So, but starting hopefully next year, I'll have my motorcycle, and we'll have that.
Motorcycles.
We'll have that little fun project to have, and go on trips, enjoy the open road.
Yeah.
Try not to get hit.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. As much as it's as much fun as it is to have and to get the feeling of freedom when you're on a bike, it's super, super dangerous. So you have to be diligent and paying attention to your surroundings and keeping an eye on everybody else on the road, because that's going to be your biggest obstacle. It's just avoiding people who aren't paying attention.
Do you like, since you're using it more as like a daily right now, because you drive it to work just because of how gas is right now?
That's crazy.
Do you lose any of like the enjoyment riding it, just having it being more of a daily?
So it's funny you actually say that, because whenever I go to work in like a regular car, whether it be the truck or Katie's car or whatever, however I get there, like my mornings just drag, and you can tell I don't have the energy that I do later on in the day after I've kind of woken up and felt, start feeling more myself and more ready to interact with other people. And a lot of my coworkers will even point out, like, hey, like, are you good? Like, you don't seem like you're yourself, or you just seem upset about something, or you look really out of it. But when I come in on the bike, everybody's like, oh, you're in a good mood, or you look, happy. Like, what happened? And it's just the enjoyment of being on a motorcycle. Like, it's just fun. And again, like I said earlier, you kind of get a sense of freedom. You're not. It's almost like flying, as stereotypical as that sounds. Just because you have like the wind rushing through your helmet and through your gear, which is a whole other thing that I want to get to. Is gear is very important, and to anybody who says otherwise, to each his own. Do what you want, but I will be the biggest advocate for, at the very least, a helmet and a jacket. You can get away without shoes or boots. You can get away without riding pants. Just put on, an extra layer for, whatever. Just wear long pants. Anything to just cover bare skin. To avoid any issues with road rash or damage or anything like that. Even just rocks flying up on the road. I actually have a dent in my one visor because I watched a rock get kicked up from a semi and just smacked me in the face. So if I wasn't wearing a helmet, that rock's hitting my cheek, and I'm like, Jesus. I'm out. I'm done. But it's freeing. It's so enjoyable that you kind of take the risk of injury into consideration, but you still have the drive to go out and experience that euphoria, for lack of a better term.
Have you ever taken a bird to the face or got shat on by a bird?
No, I don't think so. So there was actually a day when I was still working at Best Buy down in York, that I was driving down the highway, and there was nobody around me. Like, it was early in the morning. It was for an opening shift. There's just like the road and me. Nobody on the left going the opposite direction. Nobody in either of the lanes around me. But something hit my hand and then shot down and hit my leg. So I think I hit a bird with my knuckles, and it got like shoved down between like my handlebars and down and hit my leg and then like off. But I didn't see anything lying in the road. I didn't see anything flying from the side. It racked my knuckles and left a bruise on my knee. And I was like, I have no idea what that was. So I think it might have been a bird.
I think at some point that's going to be more of my fear once I'm more used to being on it. It's like, I'm not really worried about the people. I'm more worried about getting hit by, like, hitting a bird. Just hitting me right in the head.
it doesn't happen. Like, so it's almost like the surrounding traffic kind of is a deterrent because they hear the loud noise, they feel the rush of air from like the bigger vehicles, so they avoid it or they fly high above it. Like, I don't think I've ever even come close to hitting a bird. um I think I've actually come more close to hitting a squirrel who ran out in the road rather than flying things.
That would fuck you up.
What, a squirrel or a bird?
I feel like you'd get fucked up by either. I feel like you don't want to take a big bump like that on a motorcycle.
Yeah, not. I mean, you don't want to take any bumps on a motorcycle as best you can. Give you a big old rack to the nuts, but
Ow.
yeah, I think the bird would probably be worse than a squirrel.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
just
you'd
now.
probably get, yeah, if you took a bird to the body, you're probably getting thrown off the bike, or you're at least gonna get like really hurt and like.
Oh yeah, it'll hurt. It'll probably knock the wind out you, but I don't know. I haven't experienced either. Like I said, I haven't come close for a bird, unless that was a bird that I hit on down the highway.
Unless you just hit a fucking like rock somehow, like perfectly. I guess
Maybe.
I guess if no one was around you, it would have been kicked up. It wouldn't have been kicked up to hit you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the truth is, how fast were you going on the highway that day?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it was anything too crazy because that was when I first. Was it when I first got it? No, it was when I mean, I'd been off it for a while because we were in a state college and I didn't have it. So that was probably, what, 2.5 years that I didn't ride. So when I went to Best Buy,
For whatever reason, I thought you had your bike up there with you.
no, mainly because we were in the apartment complex.
Right,
So
you didn't want
parking
to.
lot was like super far away, and we were on the third floor. So like, I wouldn't have been able to have access to it quickly if anything happened. Wouldn't be able to keep an eye on it in case people got sticky fingers and decided they wanted it more than I did. So I left it down here with my dad.
Yeah, I mean,
So damn, for like 2.5 years, that poor thing just sat.
I mean,
Yeah.
your dad's poor thing is just sitting right now, broken apparently. Do you even know what's wrong? Do you know what's wrong with it?
Yeah, his front fork seal keeps leaking. So what that does, for those who don't know, it basically keeps the hydraulic fluid in the front shock for his suspension. So
Oh yeah, that would
there's
probably
no-
that would be
Yeah.
very bad if that wasn't working. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but this is something that's been happening for a while. He replaced the fork seals. I think he replaced the whole forks when he bought the motorcycle.
Your dad really just wants you to give him your car.
2008, I think it was. Oh yeah, he talks to me about selling it every time I'm there.
Like he just wants you to buy it. He just wants to buy it off you because he doesn't want to go out there and find his own project car. He just wants to buy yours off you so he can just do whatever he wants to it.
Well, and that's the funny thing is because like, Dad grew up building like Ford pickups and like I think he had a Mustang at one point. He had an old Chevy S10, so he was used to like American muscle. So when I went and bought this, he's like, "Oh, what's this Japanese crap doing in my garage?" And then we start messing around with it, driving it just around town. He's like, "Man, this thing's actually pretty cool." And then it just kind of kept going from there. And now he's like, "If you ever want to get rid of it, you talk to me first." Yeah.
Now, now you have to stay away from the car until the wedding. So have fun with that.
Oh, it's fine. I don't know why he gets it in his head that I can't go over and help him with things, because like all he's doing right now is trying to restore the paint as best he can. So that means taking a clay bar to it to try and get any debris off the clear coat, buffing the crap out of it to try and smooth out any rough spots, and just clearing off any extra stuff that would mess with the paint or the look of the car, which like I can obviously be there for and help with, but he's like, "Just don't. Are you done working on the car? Like, I got to do this, and I got to do that." I'm like, so I can help. That's what I'm here for. It's my car.
I don't know. Your dad's weird sometimes, so
Yeah, just let him do his thing.
Like I've learned in life, it's just better just to agree with people sometimes and just not. Don't let your ego get in the way.
Yeah.
So, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to get my bike. I still have not decided on what I want to get though. Like, obviously, I want to. Tell me what.
If you just buy me a new bike, you can have mine.
Why would I buy you a new bike when I could just go buy a new bike for myself? Newer.
Because you want the one that I have.
I want the one that you have because I like how it looks.
Yes.
But I can buy a newer model. I don't know. The R3s don't look as good as yours. Their front does not look good. It doesn't look as good as it used to.
Yeah, they tried to model them more towards the R1 series because that was like their biggest thing. Plus, I'm sure there's something to do with race homologation and everything like that.
Didn't you say they're releasing something else? Like they're releasing like something in between the R3 and the R6?
It's actually between the R6 and the R1, and they just released one this year. It is the R7. So with the R6, you have 600 cc's. With an R1, you have 1,000 cc's. So the 700 is going to be 700 cc's.
Yeah, if people don't know bikes.
Oh, sorry.
If people don't know bikes, that R6 to R1 thing's a little confusing. Like it's a little.
How do you mean? Just
it's just like numerical order just throws me the fuck off sometimes. And like I think it's just I'm saying, hey, I have OCD, so that fucking bothers the shit out of me. Let's go R3, R6.
Yeah, it's R3, R6, and then R1.
Well, and you said now the R7.
Yeah, so now there's the R7 in there as well.
Fucking God. And then, Jesus fucking Christ. I think that's the route I want to go, though. I want to get one of them, but I think I'll just get the R3, even though it doesn't look as good. Or I can just be stupid, get the R6.
I would not recommend. And I was talking to one of my coworkers again about this not that long ago. There's like the whole stereotype about like getting an lower displacement bike as a learner. Everybody's like, oh, just start with 600s. Like it just makes so much more sense. It's going to teach you how to do this and that. It's going to be how you're going to ride later on. But for somebody who did take the advice of other experienced riders who say start slow and work your way up, I have had this bike since 2015. Not quite brand new. I bought it used after the break-in period, but it was only like 1,000 miles, I think, was it. And I've now have put 5,000 miles on the bike, but that's been over, 7 years now?
I mean...
And I have just as much fun on this bike now as I did before.
Yeah, you don't really... It helps being here where we live because there is riding season. So you don't put as many miles on it as someone who would probably ride year-round, like in like the hotter climates all year round.
Oh yeah, people down south, like... So, to the listeners here, I lived in New Mexico for about a year, I think slightly over a year. And that's actually where I learned to ride road motorcycles, street motorcycles. I learned on a cruiser, a Yamaha V-Star 650.
That, just before we go on, do you think that would be a better choice for me?
A cruiser rather than a sport bike?
Yeah, instead of doing a sport bike, just getting a cruiser just to start out on.
I mean, honestly, it depends. Like, it's up to your choice. So
I just like the look of the sports bike so much. I just love it. I love how it looks. I don't know.
Yeah, but it all comes down to comfortability. So I'm used to riding and sitting on taller bikes just because of my history with dirt bikes. Grew up riding dirt bikes since the age of like 6. So I was used to that posture of sitting higher, sitting more upright, my center of gravity being higher, to take turns and faster speeds and better angles and all that fun stuff. So sports bikes made sense for me to go to just because of the similar seating position build type as dirt bikes. But if you prefer cruisers, I learned I took my test and everything on a cruiser bike, and it was comfortable for like longer trips. It was just a little bit more bulky going through like your more city based or your back roads, whatever, because you can't really maneuver them as well as you can a sport bike.
I mean, it makes sense. I don't know what would just be the best way for me to really start out on it. That's my biggest concern with it.
I think just from my experience and my knowledge of you, I think since you have expressed your interest in the look of the sport bikes, I think you would benefit more from learning from scratch, by starting off with a low displacement sport bike, just because you're going to have to get used to that taller seating position and that style of riding, because it's not going to be as laid back and forgiving, honestly, as a cruiser bike.
Hey man, if it's any harder than fucking switching from controller to M and K,
Oh Jesus!
fucking dude, Jesus fucking Christ, I don't know how riding bikes is gonna go then. If it's any harder than fucking switching from that in gaming, like that has been the worst. But sorry, we moved on from that topic to something else. So go back to what you were talking about. Do you remember?
From what? The show?
No. We were talking, and I said, "Hey, before you go on," because you were talking about you learned on a cruiser.
Oh yeah. So I learned on a cruiser and took my test on a cruiser, and like that was fine and dandy. But then moving to the sport bike, even with my experience with dirt bikes, it was a much different feel. Granted, it was a smaller, lighter bike with a higher point of gravity. I had my issues with learning to slow down as much as I needed to for turns, and not taking turns with like the handlebars, but by maneuvering my weight on the bike. Because that's like a big thing when it comes to sport bikes versus cruisers. Cruisers, you're sitting back, you're relaxed, you have all of your weight back on the seat, and that's how it's supposed to be. For sport bikes, since you have a more aggressive seating position, you're likely to put weight on your arms and your hands, which is bad for your wrists, and it also is bad for just your riding experience in general, because the stiffer your arms are and the more weight you have on the handlebars, you're transferring all the vibration from the road to your body, and that's what causes accidents and death wobbles and things like that, and just rider fatigue in general. So like you have to learn to put your weight back into the seat, even though you're leaning forward, and use your legs and your core muscles to keep you on the bike. And that's how you do your turns. You throw your weight around, not using your arms at all. You just kind of shift your weight, kind of have to use like body position on the bike in general to help with your turns depending on the speed that you go. But at this point, this is leading more into track riding than just road riding, which is something I want to get to in the future, but that costs money.
See,
And that is difficult to come by these times.
So my only real experience on a motorcycle is I did a year of motocross when I was younger. So I rode dirt bikes a little bit when I was younger as well. But worst comes to worst, one little accident happened. My mom pulls me out the next year because she's afraid I'm gonna get hurt. Which fair point, all that stuff. So, yeah. But it's been so long since I've been on one. I'm a little like nervous to get back on one. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy I have friends like you and your dad that know knowledge. So going into it, I feel a little bit more comfortable. Like if I didn't have you guys in my life, I don't think I'd ever do it. Just because. Yeah,
it's definitely really hard going by yourself, which is kind of similar to your line, since my dad grew up riding dirt bikes and motorcycles and everything like that. He was able to kind of coach me through it and guide me to be a better rider. But same thing, if he didn't have that experience or that history, or that passion, honestly, at this point, I don't think that I would be following that either. Um, just because I'm a creature of habit. So if I'm not used to it, if I don't have any prior knowledge of it, I feel like I don't really need to do that. I'm too scared. Like, I don't think I can focus on it. I don't think I can figure out how to do it right and do it properly. So yeah, having people already in the scene to kind of help bring you in and guide you to where you need to go, definitely helps with those decisions.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm happy I have you guys around because if I went into it alone, let's be honest, I'd probably buy something that's way too big for me. I wouldn't get any of the right gear I need to get.
Mhm.
Speaking of gear, I had this conversation with my dad the other day, right? Is
Mhm.
I was telling him because I know you were talking about getting a new helmet, one of those that has the face that will still flip up, right? Like it's one of the, like it's a sports bike helmet, but doesn't the face still come off and it can still flip up?
Oh yeah, like a modular style
Like a
helmet.
modular style helmet. My
Mhm.
dad was get brought up like a fair point about it. Like, why don't you be scared? Like, let's say you take a fall, right?
Mhm.
And the mechanism keeping the thing together just breaks as you fall, and the thing flips up, and then your face just slides off the ground. Wouldn't it be smarter just to have something that's fully intact?
Uh, Ultimately, yes, would be like the simple answer to that. Um, because with a full face, like a regular full face helmet, as opposed to a modular, it's all one piece. It's all forged together, or I say forged loosely. It's melted together. It's basically plastic. Um, and like the foam and everything inside, it's going to be more likely to hold up in an accident, and it's more likely to help protect you or the rider, whoever. Um, but there's also a lot of science and a lot of research and a lot of technology that's been developed specifically for things such as modular helmets. Is there always going to be a chance of failure in their mechanism? Yes, but is it likely enough to happen to be an issue? Because just thinking personally, I wouldn't, like, if I were the company building these things, I wouldn't put it out there if there was a higher risk of failure on a mechanism than not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, if it were like 60% it's going to fail versus 30% it's not, or 40% it's not, um, I wouldn't put it on the market because that's putting the public at danger. Granted, that's a moral thing, so corporate companies don't always adhere to proper or commonly thought as proper morals.
That's very
But
true.
just for me, like, if it's even 60% success rate over 30, you're more likely to put on the market. So you test and you develop, you do safety protocols and everything like that. You put together a solid helmet, in this case, a solid product. In general, that's what you're going to want to put out of the market, because the better it performs, the more likely people are going to buy.
I mean, that all makes sense. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Me and my dad had a conversation about it because he finally convinced my mom not to freak the fuck out if I buy a
Mhm.
motorcycle, and
Yeah.
she's like all about, I don't want you having a bike. You have a son to think about. His mom already rides. We don't need to have the risk of both of you going down and then losing both of his parents. And I'm like, oh my god, you don't need to. You don't need to
Mhm.
be like this. It's fine.
Mhm.
It's not like I'm just doing this with no knowledge going into it. Like, I
Yeah.
have two very close people in my life that know what they're doing. They're not going
Mhm.
to steer me into the direction of being stupid.
Mhm.
So, you really don't need to worry about it. But so we got into a topic and all that, like what I'm looking for, what I'm looking to buy, the gear and all that stuff. And we just got into that
Mhm.
topic of helmets. And I thought that was a really good point that he brought up because
Yeah.
I was thinking about just getting a modular one just for the first helmet, because I'm gonna try to save a decent amount just for gear as well
Mhm.
going into it, so I can just buy everything all at once, and so we're ready to go, because it's gonna be a little bit of a period where I'm not comfortable, obviously. So
Oh yeah. And yeah, that's another thing that I just want to express
like,
about like the motorcycle community in general is, you do see people who go out there and they ride recklessly and like do dangerous things, and they do stunts on the highway, or they like get in groups of like hundreds plus and cause a ruckus going through the city. That's not everybody in the community. Like, it's The same thing with like reviews. Most of the time, people only write reviews if something exceptionally good happened or exceptionally bad happened. More commonly,
Yeah.
something exceptionally bad happens that you're like, oh, I got to tell somebody about this. So like you'll see those bad apples in the community, but most people, like my dad and I, like we want people to be safe, but also have a good time. So like we're always big on always at least have a helmet, gloves, jacket. Anything else you can kind of get away with for the most part, but at least do your best to protect your vitals, your brain, your heart, your lungs. Like you want to protect the things that are keeping you alive as much as possible. That and ride to your comfortable zone. Don't try and perform as the best rider in your group or the best person in your friend group. Ride to how you feel comfortable.
Yeah, this would be like the
You,
first. Honestly, when I get it, let's be honest, this is gonna be like the first time you're the leader. You're gonna be the one choreographing everything, just keeping going,
yeah.
everything going. Like I'm gonna be the one in the learning position for once.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be nice to kind of switch the roles a little bit because most of the things we
Yes.
do, I kind of like it's my idea, and you're just like, all right, we'll do it. I don't care. Let's do something fun, right?
Yeah, and I'm all about having a good time. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of be in a role where I can teach somebody something that I am passionate about and have a decent knowledge in. Being able to share that wealth, I guess, um, is exciting. But I'm also like I've never been in this position before, so like I'm gonna do my best not to steer you astray or us astray and get somebody inadvertently hurt or in a predicament that you don't want to be in. So
So
it's a love hate kind of experience.
it's also gonna be different too because I'm most likely buying brand new, so I'll have a break-in period that we'll have to. I don't know
Here
what
too.
all that entails really, because still learning.
So so that would be my other point is since you are learning from scratch, I would at least look for a used. It can still be like the newest model or whatever the newer
Well,
body
that's
style, but get it to uh or get it with the understanding that like something is going to happen. It's going to get scratched up. It's going to get dropped. It's something's going
oh,
to
I know.
hit it or break it or whatever.
I'm
So
sure
like,
it's gonna be a little bit just for me to get used to the balance of being
mhm,
on it
yeah,
because it's the last time I was actually even on like a fucking bike.
mhm.
Fuck, dude, I don't even remember. Like,
A long time ago.
dude,
That's most
I
we're old.
don't get on fucking bikes anymore. I don't do any of that shit. Too old for
Mhm.
that shit. My ankles don't work right.
My ankles.
Like they don't. Like I've sprained both of my ankles on multiple occasions. And then
Doing dumb shit.
I started playing ultimate frisbee with you last year, with like like a year ago, and
Yeah,
like,
about a year ago, I think.
and you know how many times I planted and my ankles would hurt?
Hmm.
Like,
Oh
it's
yeah, my knees
awful.
are the same way.
So
We're
it's
like
just like,
85-year-old men
just
groaning and complaining about life.
man, we're only in our 20s.
Yep. It'd be
Life's great, but yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Mhm.
There's a lot. There's a lot that we're about to go through in life. You know, we're like in the prime of our lives, but we're old
Mhm.
and aching already. It's
Gotta
the
love it.
shittiest part. We're like in the prime of our lives, but I don't know. I'm starting to think everything gets better in our 30s.
Maybe.
Because
Hopefully.
I'm starting to hear that everybody's just like everybody's life now. Their life gets so much better in their 30s.
Hmm.
Like 20s isn't fun anymore because it's just heartache and like fucking
Well, see,
bills, money.
actually, I saw a video earlier today that uh, brought up the good point of like your 20s is your fuck around and find out time.
Well, fucking
So
100%.
like you don't take life too seriously from the ages of 20 to 29 just because at least in this day and age most people aren't even in a stable enough situation to go out and do like buy a house and settle down and start a family and do all that. Um just either financially or mentally, like there's so much shit going on in this world right now that like this time frame is it doesn't count. It really doesn't mean anything. It's you should take that time to travel and explore and find what sparks an interest in you, and then focus on that once you have the stability to settle down and start looking into a set career that'll hopefully put you in a position later in life to retire and be able to experience even more things after you've learned what you need to learn to live,
Yeah, I mean, it's life that's just how it is nowadays, and it's just what's gonna happen. But we are coming in the last 7 minutes of this, because we're only gonna go for an hour. So I just kind of want to go over the game plan for these going forward and all this other stuff. So me and him are planning on just gradually taking on this role, because this is just another thing in life that we're doing that we wanted to do. This is something we've talked about pretty often for the last year and a half, because there was when the podcast ended, when the whole situation with Mike happened and the ending of our friendship and everything, I didn't know where to go with this, so I just kind of put it on hold. Didn't really say anything. It was actually kind of doing okay in the terms of my content at the time, when I wasn't really streaming. I was doing YouTube videos here and there, and it was more of a hobby at that point. Now that I am a Twitch affiliate over on Twitch, all that stuff, follow my Twitch right there in front of your face.
Right down
cheap
that
little plug.
direction.
Yep, there you go. Link in the description. Go follow. Blah blah blah. Drop a follow.
Blah blah blah.
Drop a follow. Got Twitch Prime. Drop a Prime sub. Yeah. But yeah, so now I'm taking it a little bit more seriously. Just a little bit, not too much really. Let's be honest. I still have all this other shit I'm doing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking it as serious as I can. So the plan for this, as I was trying to say, because before I got into this rambling topic, is we're gonna try to get one of these out once a month until we're really in the swing of things. I'd like to do twice a month eventually, and then if we really find the time and we're fucking crazy, once a week. But it's gonna take a while before we get to the once a week thing, so don't expect that anytime soon. So
it's a 10-year plan,
We'll give it 2. I hope in 2 years we're doing okay. We can do this weekly, but I think once a month is good for now. I had a lot of fun with this. It took us I'm not gonna lie, full disclosure, it took us an hour to really start and get this.
Just for me to
an hour for us to really get into this. Before I even hit the just record button. Oh, and then the other thing we want to build up to is live streaming it and just stream it. Fuck it. And people can be in chat. We can talk to people in chat. That's just the goal. It's just hopefully things build up the way it is. But once a month. So this would be the one for August. So if you're here, thanks for being here. Thanks for staying all the way till the end. Drop a like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I don't care what you leave down there. Just don't get me banned, and don't say anything rude.
Tell your grandma to come watch us.
Maybe not that. We might get. This was a tame episode. I'm sure it's gonna get crazier. Maybe.
It might.
Who knows? But again, once a month. So there's the other one for August. So next one we're planning sometime in September. It's most likely going to be after the show, the Trinity of Terror show. And I'm realizing as I'm looking over here, the poster for it's right there for the first one I went to. So that was really cool. And then Chris Motionless is right here, just center stage, just during the whole thing, being a psycho that he is. It's signed. So yeah, I love music. It's great. It's my personality. Travis's room is.
In case you can't tell by the background.
It's fine. It's fine. It's all good. But
My
thank you, everybody.
Shared office, man. There's a lot that goes on here.
One day we're just gonna have a fucking bro house.
Streamer.
What we're gonna do is we're just gonna buy a cul-de-sac, build all our houses all there, and then we're just gonna have a solo house somewhere in there that we all can go hang out at whenever.
Nah, man. Don't you remember me and you were gonna go buy a farm in Montana?
Farm in Montana. We're just gonna go off grid. No more podcasts.
No, we'll still do podcasts. You can still get internet on a homestead. But just
we're going off grid. We don't need people to know that we're alive. You know?
It's gonna be like those random radio channels you'll find on the AM stations instead of the FMs.
It's just conspiracy theories. That's all this turns into. We're just talking conspiracy theories the whole fucking time, like fucking idiots.
Two bearded men and
Okay. Hold on. one bearded man and an Amish wannabe little asshole because I can't grow a beard. I only can grow a chin strap. Okay. Okay.
Got the little crustache going.
I'm like, I don't got anything right now. I'm clean shaved. We're having a good time. So is Travis.
Yeah, man.
So clean shaved
Oh,
boys.
nice and shaved down.
So, but yeah, if you made it this far, thank you. Drop a like, follow, sub, all that stuff. Ring the bell, stay notified. And if you enjoyed the return to this podcast, follow our socials. They're that way, not that one.
We're all down here.
Yeah, go follow our socials, the Cross Thoughts one. So if you want updates specifically for the Cross Thoughts podcast and all that stuff, go follow at Cross Thought on Twitter. And that Twitter will be back up and running shortly because the podcast is going. Yeah.
Going shortly.
So go follow all of the socials. He's not active on his Twitter. It's just up there because I wanted it to look nice up there because I designed this whole like little rebrand and everything. So I'm very happy that I went with like a one solid like design for everything. So my stream looks like this and the Cross Thoughts podcast will look like this. It's my brand. It's our brand. It's everything's brand. But
My brand.
my brand.
No, viewers. It is your brand.
It's your brand.
Listeners.
All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time in September. So have a great rest of your day.
And month.
Yeah, that too. Bye.